Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Robin's Nest. Today we're going to talk about supercars because Bathurst was this weekend, yesterday. And man, probably one of the best races I've seen ever in supercars. It was fantastic. So we're going to talk about it. As always, if you enjoy listening to me ramble about motorsports, cars, whatever else I feel like talking about, if you like hearing my 2 cents, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, turn on notifications. The works. If you're interested in die-cast cars, t-shirts, hats, auto parts, anything, really. We sell everything, any and everything. Make sure to check out our eBay. The link is in the description. Also follow me on Facebook and X for more motorsports content. Facebook is strictly motorsports. X, we dive into politics and social issues and stuff. So forewarning, if you follow me on there, you're going to see a healthy dose of that. So the links for both of those are in the description. Without further ado, now that we got that out of the way, let's get into the video. Man, it was... So, I don't know who's watching this, if you're familiar with supercars, if you've been watching it for the past couple of years, the past few years, since they brought in their new generation race car, the Gen 3. You know, supercars was always a touring car series, basically, forever. I mean, back in the day, like way back in the day, you know, they ran Mustangs and stuff, but for the most part, for the balance of its existence, it's been a touring car series. And they replaced the touring cars with Camaros and Mustangs. Holden was shutting down. Ford wanted to run the Mustang instead of running a Falcon. And honestly, the Mustang, when they kind of like warped it to make it fit into the touring car regulation, it didn't look right. It looked ridiculous. So anyways, now they're running Mustangs and Camaros. And honestly, for the most part, since they've come out with those new cars, Chevrolet has had a performance advantage. It's obvious. Anybody with 2 eyes can see that. There's been events where Ford has had the upper hand. I think this season, when they opened up the season, I can't remember which track they were at, but Cam Waters won all 3 rounds at that particular track. So they have had the upper hand here and there, but overall, GM's had an advantage over them. So Brody Kostecki, who left Erebus last year and went to DJR, which is a Ford team, if you're not familiar with Dick Johnson Racing, and Erebus is Chevrolet. He sat on the pole, and then he made some comments. He sat on the pole this weekend, and he made some comments in a post-qualifying PR event, interview, whatever you want to call it. And he said that parity is an issue in the series. And of course he's correct. It is an issue. And I'm not saying this as... I'm not biased. I'm not a Ford fan. I'm not even a GM fan. I just want to see good racing. I mean, I'm not partial to either one of them. You know, I'm not like a dyed-in-the-wool GM fan or Ford fan. So I just want to see good, tight racing between both brands. But I've been saying that if you follow me, if you have followed me for any length of time, you've seen, I've been talking about this, that Chevrolet's got an upper hand. Specifically 888, the Red Bull cars. They are stupid fast. I mean, way faster than everybody else. It's not even close. And so Brody made some comments in the interview, and it didn't go over well. A lot of people had issues with it. You know, he said Ryan Wood had said something about being close to Brody this year, and Brody said, well, it's because I'm in the same car as you. You know, we're both in Fords. Last year, it wasn't that close. Brody won Bathurst last year. And so Mark Scaife, who's a legend in the sport, and he's commentator now. Again, if you're unfamiliar with it. Most people that watch it, you know all this, but Scaife is, he's a legend. But he was asked about it during their live stream coverage of the event this weekend. And he basically took offense to it and said, you know, I don't understand what Brody's talking about. We've worked super hard to have both of these cars on a level footing with one another. And you look at qualifying, and Fords were all up front, you know. So obviously there's parity because Ford's out qualifying Chevrolet. Of course, what he's omitting, and what he's conveniently leaving out, and he knows this because he's been around the sport forever. Obviously, he knows this. Qualifying, practice, and then the race, those are not the same thing. Okay? For qualifying, you have your car trimmed out to go as fast as it will possibly go over the course of a lap or two. Even the kind of sessions that they have where everybody, I think they give you like 30, 40 minutes, I'm not exactly sure. But you go out there and you make a run, you come in, cool the car off, throw some fresh tires on it, you make another run, gradually getting faster and faster until you get down to the end of the session, and you try to put down a burner lap to get you into the top 10 shootout. Okay, but again, the cars are trimmed out specifically for this reason. You can't run the car in the race in the same configuration that you have in qualifying. This is true for essentially any motorsport. NASCAR, same thing. Like, what you run in qualifying, you always have a qualifying setup and then you have a race setup. Because if your car is set up to only run really fast over 2 laps, and then you go out there and it's just not going to work. Okay, so when you run race configurations in supercars, these Chevrolets are so much faster. And so when the race started yesterday, I made an intentional effort to pay attention, and you could see these Chevrolets when they got on the straights. There was one instance where I believe it was Feeney or Wincup was driving the car. I don't remember which one was in the car at that point, because at Bathurst they have driver changes. You have 2 drivers per car. It's part of the endurance leg of the season. And past Mark Winterbottom, who's in the Tickford Monster Ford. And I mean, before he even got much of a slipstream off of Mark, he was just mowing him down on the straight, like he was sitting still. Like Mark had a parachute. And so, of course, Scaife is never going to eat crow, never going to admit. And the thing about Scaife, too, is when he was racing in supercars, he was a Holden factory driver. I don't know that he ever ran anything other than a Holden. So I would lean towards Mark being a little biased, in this argument. I would not also be the slightest bit surprised if he still has some sort of business attachment to GM. Most guys like that do. I mean, you're a career man with a certain brand. You're going to have attachments to them until the day you die. Okay? So that wouldn't surprise me, but, like I said, he's biased, obviously. Obviously, there's a performance advantage for the Camaros, specifically 888. And like I said, Brody's correct. Something needs to be done about it. The fact that we're 2-3 years in on this car and it's not been addressed is ridiculous. But Supercars was saved by the fact that weather moved in. I don't know, a quarter of the way into the race, started raining. I mean, torrential raining. It was absolutely crazy. It was nuts. And by the way, excuse me, I'm a little under the weather, so I'm having to catch my breath. But anyways, weather moved in, and it just got absolutely crazy. And then Brock Feeney, one of the Red Bull cars, ended up putting his car in the wall. Lost a lot of time, damaged the car. And then Will Brown, the other Red Bull, did the same thing. Prior to putting the car in the wall, he went into a corner and ran over Kai Allen. So he got a penalty for that, but I think he cut down a tire at the same time, so he had to pit anyways. And so it was just, he was overdriving the car after that, cold tires, put it in the wall. And that was the end of Red Bull, and it's amazing. It's amazing the kind of race that you can have when those two cars are not present. I mean, everyone else is essentially on level footing. And that was evident by the end of that race. You had James Golding, Cooper Murray, both of them are in Chevrolets. James drives for a Premier. They always say Premier on the telecast, even though it's not spelt Premier. But anyways, I guess it doesn't really matter. But Cooper is driving for Erebus. And then you had Matt Payne, who's in a Ford, in a Penrite Ford. Grove is the team. And so Matt ended up winning. But man, those guys were all over each other at the end of the race. It was, I mean, for like the last 20 laps. Now, they couldn't get hardly any green flag running until they got down into inside of like 10 to go. It's like every time you turned around, someone was parking it in the fence or in the sand trap and bringing out full course caution. But I think the gold standard for Bathurst has been 2014 when Jamie Whincup was leading and then Chaz Mostert was catching him towards the end of the race. And he caught him, and they had a pretty good battle, and then Jamie ran out of fuel, handing the win to Chaz. And that's basically been the gold standard for Bathurst. You talk to anyone, everyone always says, I think it's 2014 or 2015, one of those two. That was the gold standard for Bathurst. You know, that's the finish that everyone always references. I would make a strong argument that last night or yesterday was equally as good as that race, if not better. I mean, it was just that good. I think, honestly, why don't we just soak the track in like every event that they go to? Just bring water trucks out there if it's not going to rain and just soak the track. And then take the 888 team and Brock Feeney and Will Brown and put them in someone else's cars. I mean, or have 888 just provide cars for the entire grid. Like I said, when they're not in the picture, Supercars has the best product out there. Period. Okay, hands down. But the problem is that 888 cars are so far ahead of everyone that when they don't have a problem, I mean, it's not even worth watching unless you just want to watch a battle for midfield. I enjoy watching racing in general, so I'll watch it. But it's not interesting and it's not entertaining. It's never fun seeing a team that's obviously got something over the rest of the field. This is one of the main reasons I didn't watch Formula One in the teens, really, very much in the early teens. But once the hybrid era started, Mercedes was just light years ahead of everyone. I didn't really watch it because, what was the point? You knew it was going to happen. And it's a similar deal with Supercars, but the difference, I should say, is that 888, outside of 1 year with Erebus and then a couple years with Penske, they've been the team to beat, like nonstop every year. And it's just, it's ridiculous. Whatever they're doing to be that much faster than everyone else, it needs to be reined in my personal opinion. Will that happen? Probably not. I'll tell you one other thing that I found interesting, though, about this weekend is if you get on Supercars X account, they were making posts about the race and getting a lot of reaction, a lot of interaction from folks commenting and sharing it and stuff like that. They made posts about their playoff system and zero interest, pretty much. The thing, look, no one asked for this championship format. No one wanted playoffs in Supercars. You get online and you see the general reaction from folks with NASCAR and their playoff system. People don't want that crap. So I don't understand why they decided to implement this, implement a finals is what they call it. It's playoffs this year. I don't know what the reasoning was, but people aren't interested. And for one, like in my case, it's confusing as hell. Like, I don't understand anything about the final system that they have set up. It's hard for me to follow NASCAR's playoff system. It's just so convoluted. Unnecessarily so. I can't follow it. And I dang sure can't get interested in it. Like, I just want to see... I want to see the focus be on the actual events, the actual races. And then the championship should naturally work itself out from there. I will reference this until I'm blue in the face, but IndyCar... Alex Palou had the championship wrapped up 2 weeks from the end of the season, or 2 rounds from the end of the season. Those final 2 rounds had as good, if not better, viewership than any other race in the season outside of the Indy 500. And they were entertaining as hell. You had the Ed Carpenter car win at Milwaukee. Those guys were racing their hearts out for the win. And the championship was already wrapped up. But you know, they elbows out, were beating and banging, and Indy cars going for the win. That's the kind of stuff that I want to see. I think that's the kind of stuff that most people want to see when they watch a race. As opposed to being beat over the head with some sort of playoff narrative. You know, you're supposed to be interested. Well, you know what? We're not interested in it. That's not what we want. So, anyways, I could get on a soapbox. I really could. And talk about it for 2 weeks. But, anyways, I just think it's funny that there's no real interest in it. Most fans don't want to see it. You know? It's just as simple as that. But, anyways, do yourselves a favor. Get on their YouTube and check out the highlights. I'll put a link, actually, for that video in the description so you can check it out. Because, man, that race was good. It was really, really good. James, I was pulling for Golding the entire time. Just for the simple fact that he's never won a race, and neither has that team. And he was faster than all those guys up front, but got a little impatient trying to go around Cooper Murray and ran into him, spun Cooper out, and then James got a penalty for it, and so that was it. That was all she wrote. He ended up finishing first on the road, but finished, I think, third. So he still got a podium out of it, but man, that sucked. But it's cool to see. Like, the problem is you could find something to pull for in every one of those guys that were up front. You know, like Matt Payne and Cooper, and I didn't really know who to pull for. I'm not like a James Golding fan per se, but I don't know, just good stuff. So check it out. Anyways, if you enjoy listening to me ramble about motorsports, cars, or anything else I feel like talking about, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, turn on notifications. The works. If you're interested in diecast cars, t-shirts, hats, auto parts, anything like that, check out our eBay. The link is in the description. Follow me on Facebook and X for more motorsports content. Those links are also in the description. As always, thank y'all for watching. Until next time, we'll see you. God bless. Peace.